I know a lot of people here knew Greg, but how many people have been keeping up with the Printing Stewards work? Awesome, almost everybody. This is fantastic. Next slide. So we are a nonprofit dedicated to preserving the history of typecasting, and we are starting with the impressive collection of Greg Walters. I only met Greg twice, and it was before I was involved in typecasting, but probably everyone here knew him or at least knew of him. Greg did an amazing thing, an absolutely insane thing for one person to take on. He purchased a significant portion of the casting machinery and matrices from the American Type Founders Company at the auction in 1993, and single-handedly preserved a good chunk of this pillar of American industry. What Greg did will never be repeated. The machines and matrices that were not bought by Greg or a handful of other people were scrapped, and they are gone. A large collection of ATF mats was just saved by the International Printing Museum from storage at the Smithsonian, which is another heroic step. But tons of mats representing the history of typographical design were lost. The ability to swoop in and save a large collection is something that is becoming much harder to do. My generation and the ones following are facing different circumstances as we grow into our printing and casting careers. Many younger printers and casters are entering this world through the graphic arts and not coming from a lifelong career outside the arts with a pension or retirement. We switch jobs or move more often to make a living wage in an unaffordable housing market in an unstable economy. Many of us rent or do not have space for a shop at home, let alone a 4,000 square foot warehouse. And I'm not mentioning this to complain or to say that it's unfair, it's just that I have matured into a much different circumstance than many of my mentors, and the future is uncertain. Casters of my age, coming from a creative background, are not likely to have the means to purchase, move, house, and then use a full foundry's worth of equipment. With that said, it's simply amazing that Greg was able to collect and house and use as much equipment as he did. It was a monumental effort, and without him, we wouldn't have this piece of history. Every single person who helped preserve this craft, whether one casting machine or 20, is a hero, and we applaud them. We thank them for learning this craft, documenting it, and most importantly, sharing that knowledge. The main goal of the Stewards is to guard that knowledge and that history from being forgotten. Next. Like all of you, Greg wanted to make sure that typecasting had a future. He had a vision, and he was thinking ahead, something that we will all need to do. Luckily, the right people made connections at the right time, and the Printing Stewards began to coalesce. Aaron Beckloff had been friends with Greg through the APA and was helping him with legacy planning. Jody Harnish and Fritz Swanson had been saving typecasting machines in Michigan, and they connected with Greg to learn more. Jody and Fritz began working with Greg in November of 2019, running the Giant Pivotal, and began to think about how to protect Greg's collection for the future. Unfortunately, 2020 entered the chat, and while Jody was able to continue occasionally working with Greg, many other plans were put on hold. In 2021, Greg was diagnosed with cancer. Fritz and Jody reached out to Aaron to continue discussing a plan for the future, and through virtual meetings, they formed the idea of the Stewards. Sadly, as Greg was planning to meet with a lawyer to initiate the process of preserving his collection, he died. Luckily, Greg's family, especially his sister Connie Mann, was on board with preserving the collection and Greg's legacy, and worked to finalize the formation of the group. The pole barn, machinery, and library were donated to the Stewards, and the group was recognized as a nonprofit entity in April of 2022. The Stewards could only work because Greg gave us this building. Next. The Printing Stewards is currently its board. The three founders, Fritz Swanson, Jody Harnish, and Aaron Beckloff, and then me, joining the board in 2024. Fritz teaches writing and literature at the University of Michigan and has been a private printer since 2005. Jody is a public librarian in Michigan who works on cataloging, programming, and non-traditional collections. Jody and Fritz have the most hands-on experience working with Greg on the casting machines, but both live 3 hours away. Aaron Beckloff is an educator and connector in the printing community and is currently caring for the Stewards Library and other collections at the Type Farm, her workshop near Columbus, Ohio. I am a letterpress printer and artist in Moncton, Maryland, more recently involved in designing, engraving, and casting type on a monotype sorts caster with Jim Balzac. I took over the production and design of the ATF newsletter in 2024, and the Printing Stewards made the publication of the first new issue possible. Next. The Printing Stewards is also our volunteers. We have a few here today, Sierra and Phil. They have worked tirelessly to help move the equipment from Greg's house to the pole barn, move equipment around in the barn to make usable space, catalog and sort the huge inventory of mats and other equipment, and catalog and sort the library collection of specimens. Other volunteers are working on digital projects, like digitizing text from the ATF newsletters and creating website assets. We currently have about 40 people volunteering in some capacity. Next. Lastly, the Printing Stewards is our patrons. We have 200 supporters on Patreon, with over 120 pledging at least $3 a month to help pay for the pole barn upkeep and our progress towards casting. Currently, all of the building maintenance is covered by this monthly support, so if you are a Patreon member, thank you very much. On Patreon, Fritz posts detailed updates of progress made in Piqua and on other projects, as well as the ideas behind the organization and our future plans. All posts from 2024 and earlier are free to read, and you can access them with this QR code to see the story so far. Fritz has written a literal novel to document this progress so far, so if you have some extra time, I recommend going back and reading all of the posts. Other income is coming from selling specimens and duplicates from Greg's library, which was always his intention, to share his collection with others as a way to support the vital work to keep casting. Garrett Scott is our bookseller, and he is handling sales through Bibliophagist. Next. The current collection is located in two main places. The pole barn in Piqua, which I'm sure many of you have visited, houses the machines, mats, type, and presses. And the type farm, located at Aaron's house in Sunbury, houses the library and Greg's wood type collection. The pole barn is 4,000 square feet of floor-to-ceiling storage, and we are working to create a usable casting floor where the working and potentially restorable machines can be accessed and used. Inventory and sorting of the equipment and mats is a continuing process. In addition to the machines in the pole barn, there was another large shop at Greg's home, in the basement and garage. Our volunteers helped move everything out of the house and garage and stuff it into the pole barn for future organizing. And this was no small task. Always remember to lift with your knees and not your back. Next. Here's a before and after of the basement. The large press was broken up for scrap, unfortunately. This is the famous press that was installed in the basement before the house was built on top of it. Next. Here's a picture of Fritz and Aaron surveying the mountains of material in the pole barn. Luckily, Greg had industrial strength, like Home Depot shelving installed to hold cases and cases of type and mats and metal. It is literally just stuffed to the gills. Next. This is the machine area after everything that was in Greg's home, the basement and the garage, was moved. You can see it is pretty crowded in there. Over the past 3 years, our volunteers have probably moved every machine in this photo several times to make space for casting to happen. Some machines have been moved to the care of other stewards for restoration and use. The current machine count is 46 total machines, including a monotype giant, 2 supercasters, a lot of comp casters, and several Kuko machines. We have 9 Barths of varying sizes from ATF, 8 pivotal casters, and then we have 1,124 galleys of ATF foundry matrices, 418 boxes of Castcraft matrices, and 5,879 fonts of monotype display matrices. Probably more, but that's what we've been able to inventory so far. Next. There were literal tons of equipment, matrices, cases, cabinets, and tools to go through. I'm sure you all have the same experience. We've made a lot of progress, but there's still much to do. Next. This one is a video. Hopefully. So the move was stressful and all the sorting needed to be done. The stuff was safe, but stacked into every nook and cranny of the barn. Slowly, we started to make sense of what was there, to sort things, and move things again. It's a long process. Work days can only happen when Fritz can make the 3-hour drive to Piqua from Michigan, so time spent at the barn is limited and much hard labor is crammed into each day. A lack of climate control makes the days hot and sweaty or frigid, but our volunteers get things done and we appreciate their time and strength. Next. So you can see a lot of progress has been made. The main machine area on the left before sorting, and then as of June 2025, we have a usable casting area with the machines that are in working condition or that are high priority to be brought back online. The giant pivotal was used in June of 2025, and we believe the monotype giant caster is in working condition as well. We have the 72 and 14-point Barth machines in this area to be worked on, as well as the 2 supercasters, a type saw, plow, milling machine, and multiple work surfaces so we can actually get this stuff done. Next. Before and after, looking at the new casting area, you can see stuff full of machines before, and now we actually have some room to work on these machines. The mats that Greg had purchased at the ATF auction had been stacked, mostly inaccessible on wooden shelving under plastic. Many of the labels have fallen off, and all of the mats needed to be cleaned and reshelved. This is an important task to undertake so that we can organize, catalog, and photograph the entire collection, and then so that we can cast type. Several of the wooden and metal cabinets that were housed in the Smithsonian warehouse were generously donated to the Stewards by the International Printing Museum, thank you Mark, which will allow us to move the stacks of galleys full of matrices that Greg bought at the ATF auction back into their original storage. The brown cabinets were originally from McKellar, Smith & Jordan. They're big cast iron sides on these things, so they're really heavy. And then some of the wooden cabinets are from BB&S. We hope to be able to organize all of Greg's ATF mats into a usable order back in these cabinets. Moving to the type farm in Sunbury. The library houses Greg's amazing collection of specimens, manuals, and more. Greg's family donated the library to the Stewards along with the building. We were able to purchase library shelving, very nice mint green color, and we're finally sorting through the last of the boxes that were brought over from Greg's home. Lonnie Hallman, a friend of Greg's and now the Stewards librarian, has been instrumental in helping Aaron catalog, sort, and shelve these books. In the future, we hope to make the catalog accessible and host scholars, printers, and any typography enthusiasts to use the materials for research and inspiration. Connie, Greg's sister, has been keeping up with the progress we've made so far, and she's been very supportive of everything. The type farm is also housing Greg's collection of wood type, where we plan to proof specimens and identify many of the unknown to us faces. Greg collected Italian and European type in addition to a variety of American type. The type farm is home to Aaron's print shop as well, and also Scott Moore's More Wood Type. This is a great resource for studying and making wood type. Recently, Stephanie Carpenter from Hamilton Wood Type and Printing Museum used the type to make a print honoring Greg's legacy with a nod to his love for Lady Gaga. Bria Frey is working with Scott to learn the steps of making new wood type and creating new designs. We hope that the type farm will become a vital and active creative hub for all forms of type making and printing. So these areas, the machines, the library, the collection, come together under the preservation plans of the Stewards. But a large part of our mission is to restore, use, and share the knowledge of the casting machines, to really and truly keep typecasting alive in the US. This is a more difficult goal to achieve at the moment, as our board members live far away from the pole barn in Piqua. It's an 8-hour drive for me. Our next mission is to buy a building in Michigan, closer to where Fritz and Jody live, as they will be spearheading the caster restoration and use project. Our long-term goal is for a building that will house the workspace with working casting machines, active typecasters, designers, engravers, and printers. An additional goal would be to act as a space to temporarily care for collections in need of a new home and as a way to make connections between people and machines. The Stewards' vision is based on what I talked about at the start. Individual people will find it harder and harder to take on the preservation work that previous generations did, but it doesn't mean that the work can't be done. Our generation will need to work together, share ownership, and think creatively. With enough support, we can make this happen. Getting a larger building will allow us to work on the machines more. It will allow us to build a bigger community. It will allow us to get to casting type faster. It will allow us to catalog and describe and study the collection. All of that will allow us to communicate more effectively and to increase the number of stewards who are engaging with the collection. And all of that will eventually lead us to a place where we can start hiring people to continue the typecasting work. If you'd like to know more about the details and hurdles of this building project, our most recent post on Patreon has an in-depth analysis of moving forward with finding and buying a building. So where do we go from here? Our future progress depends on support from the casting and letterpress printing community. As the people who years ago saved typecasting from disappearing are aging, the problem of continuity and continuation becomes more pressing. Knowledge is being lost with each person who passes, and collections are in danger of being dispersed or scrapped. That's why we are building the Printing Stewards. So this history is not dependent on one person alone to save it. We have to come together as a community to achieve the funding, the space, the support people, the marketing, the interest, and the actual work to keep this going. We look forward to growing with and supporting this incredible community. Thank you.
The land under which these buildings, like the library, are constructed, who owns the land?
The pole barn building in Piqua, we own the plot that the pole barn is on, and then Erin owns the property that her type farm is on. So the Printing Stewards group, the nonprofit, owns the pole barn, and then Erin privately owns her space.
And there's no property tax on yearly on nonprofits, right?
There was a little snag with that when we first set up the nonprofit, but I think that we've got that settled, so it's very minimal or no property tax. And right now, all of the building expenses are covered by our Patreon supporters.
And so if one wanted to visit that library, one could?
Yeah.
Right now?
Potentially. Visiting the library would have to be scheduled through Erin, and then visiting the pole barn, we'd have to make sure that Fritz was available to drive down.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah.
In terms of revenue stream, are there sources of revenue other than the patrons, like grants and things like that?
We haven't been able to start looking for grants yet. That's something that we'll definitely need to look into more. So if anyone has suggestions, please let me know. We have been selling off some of the duplicate specimens, and that's been a good source of income that we're putting away in an investment account so that that can raise some money. Yeah, he had a lot of duplicates, and Garrett has been really helpful in getting those sold for us.
Cool.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with type, but I met Greg, and the only time I ever saw him at ATF conferences, but what truly endeared him to me were those spectator shoes he used to wear.
Yeah.
And he collects his sodas.
Yeah, and he had the Linotype cufflinks.
It's a terrific final slide. Great picture.
Yeah, this is a still from pressing on. So. Any other questions? All right, I'm happy to talk to people about Printing Stewards later, so just come and find me.